Hey guys, welcome to Trail and Kale Running Co. I'm Helen, and in this review I'm checking out the La Sportiva Levante trail running shoes. That's these guys right here. In this review, I'm going to be going over the key features of the La Sportiva Levante, how they fit, how they feel, what kind of runner and what kind of trail running they're best suited to, and crucially, how they perform on the trails. I'm out here on the trails in Northern California putting these trail running shoes to the test. We've got some great ups, we've got some great downs, we've got some nice open flats for getting on some speed work and seeing how they perform on the flats. And at the end of this review, I'll let you know what I think of them, whether I think they're worth the $155 price tag, and some alternative running shoes for you to consider if you decide these ones are not quite right for you. Alright, so let's kick off with the key features of these running shoes. So as I already mentioned, these are trail running shoes from La Sportiva, which is a popular brand, particularly in Europe, for all kind of mountain sports footwear, including climbing, hiking, and yes, trail running. They've got some very popular shoes that are also big here in the US, including the Bushido 2 and now the Bushido 3, which is recently launched. And the Levante are another variation of their trail running shoes with some unique features, which I'm going to go over in this review. So as I mentioned, they cost $155, which is pretty typical for a mid to high cushioned trail running shoe of this caliber that's designed for all mountain trail running. So it's designed to be capable in all kinds of technical terrain, including some of the terrain I'm going to show you in the video clips in this review where we put the trail running shoes to the test. That includes some loose dirt, leaves, gnarly rocks, kind of tricky technical sections with rocks and roots and things you can trip and slip over, as well as some buff trails which are nice and easy to run on and where you can really open up your speed. So what kind of trail runner and what kind of trail running are they designed for? La Sportiva describes these as performance running shoes, but then they say they're maximum high cushion. They give them 9 out of 10 for cushioning, so I'm going to let you know in this review whether I agree with that, because I also feel that they've got some good responsiveness as well, and often you don't get the two in the same boat. You either kind of choose more cushioning or more responsiveness, more ground feel. So it's going to be interesting to see what I make of those once I've progressed a bit further on these trails and put them to the test a little bit more. In terms of drop, they've got a 6mm drop from heel to toe. That's 30mm from the ground on the heel, 24mm at the toe. So they're pretty close to the ground, pretty modest heel to toe drop. That's pretty much in the sweet spot of where I like it, and that's kind of 5 to 6 mil range. And that's pretty typical of what you see of other trail running shoe brands that are designed shoes for all mountain running, such as the Hoka Speedgoat 6, for example. In terms of weight, these weigh 8 ounces for my size, which is an EU 39. La Sportiva sizing is in European sizing, and you need to translate that to your US sizing and go up a little bit. So for example, there's so many bugs here. For example, I'm wearing an EU 39. Normally I'm an EU 38 and a half, but for these La Sportiva running shoes, that translates to a US women's 7.5, which is my size. So there we go. I've got a US 7.5, and that's a 39 in the EU sizes. If you're in doubt, go up half a size in these shoes because they do run a little bit short and a little bit narrow. So how do they fit? How do they feel? These are pretty snug fitting trail running shoes. So if you're kind of runner, and I feel like we women kind of have this issue more than the guys, but maybe not. Let me know in the comments if you're one of those runners who kind of struggles with finding trail running shoes that really fit your feet and don't slip as you run. These ones run a little bit narrow, a little bit short, as I mentioned, so you probably want to go up half a size. But what's really nice is if you get the right fit in them, they're really going to hold your feet in really snug, and that's quite a different feeling to many trail running shoes. If we take a look at the shoe now, I'll show you how they fit on my feet. So starting with the toe then, this is the side of my big toe and this is the side of my little toe. They are touching the side here, so it's a pretty snug fit, but I do have a bit of room here. The end of my thumb here is where my toe ends, so I've got a bit of space between here and the end of the shoe, which is what you should always be looking for when you're choosing a pair of trail running shoes and getting the right size. It's very snug around here. You're getting a very locked in fit. These laces are very easy to tighten up, and that's great because you don't want your feet moving around in the shoe and sliding towards the end of the shoe as you run, particularly when you're going downhill. That's how runners end up with black toenails. Taking a look around at the heel now, my heel is really locked in, and that's on account of this fairly structured upper that we have here. It's got quite a bit of support through here and a pretty firm heel. And a pretty unique feature here is this woven, stretchy ankle gaiter. Not many trail running shoes have these, and it kind of leads you to wonder why the hell not, because you can see the sort of terrain I'm running in here. There's loads of this loose dirt, these little leaves, little stones, and invariably they end up, if they don't go into your shoe, between your sock and your shoe, they go into your sock itself, and this is stopping them from going into my shoe, but it's also holding my sock closer to my foot. So even though I've got quite low no-show tab socks on here, I'm not getting any dirt in my sock, which would cause me to stop and empty my shoe and empty my sock. So if that sort of stuff annoys you, this is going to really appeal to you. Taking a look at the shape of the shoe then, it's got a bit of a rocker shape. It helps with propelling you forward. Your foot rocks from heel to toe more easily, and that's really great for climbing as well as on the flats when you really want to open up your speed. You see that in a lot of road running shoes, and now we're seeing it more and more in trail running shoes for that reason. So the midsole is made with EVA foam. That's pretty typical. That's what's going to give you the cushioning that La Sportiva is promising in these shoes. Bit of extra support as well. Like I said, I feel like it's pretty firm underfoot, but I can't feel the rocks and sticking up rocks and roots in the trail beneath me. So there is a good level of cushioning here, but it's pretty well balanced with responsiveness. I would not say it's max cushioned midsole, but I wouldn't say it's minimal either. It's pretty comfortable, and I'm going to give you a better idea of what sort of running, what sort of distances I would want to run in these shoes once I put them to the test a little bit more on these trails. Taking a look at the upper then and some of the other features on these shoes before we hit the trails for the performance review. You've got a loop here which helps pulling the shoe on. There isn't a loop on the back, interestingly, so you do need to pull the gaiter out a bit to slip your foot in. Takes a little bit longer than maybe some other shoes, but no biggie here. This loop is also housing a lace garage, so if you like to tuck your laces in to help stop them come undone, you can do that as well. You have a very protective toe bumper on here, so I can hardly compress this at all. This is great for rocky terrain. Some trail running shoes don't have this, and you know about it when you kick rocks. This one I feel pretty confident. It goes all the way around, not just in the big toe, it goes around to the side here. The outsole wraps around the toe, which is great for climbing, so it helps you dig into those steeper terrains. And if we take a look at the outsole, well-designed lugs. They're not chevron shaped like you see in other shoes, they're this leaf shape. So I haven't seen leaf shaped lugs in a pair of trail running shoes, so we're going to see how they perform. I like the look of them, certainly. If you're enjoying this review, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more road and trail running shoe reviews just like this one. So that's one of the big climbing sections done. When I catch my breath, excuse me being out of breath because that was kind of challenging. You know it's going to be a hot day when it's 10 AM and you're already sweating tons. And that leads me on to talking about the breathability of these shoes. So let's take a look at that now. What's essential to the breathability of a pair of running shoes is how much air can pass in, and also most importantly moisture and hot air can pass out of the shoes through the mesh in the upper. La Sportiva's put quite a bit of effort into having breathable mesh, which is made of recycled material, all through this shoe. But I would say that this section is not breathable, and of course this solid toe bumper is not, and this light blue section is not either. So not the most breathable trail running shoes, but you are getting increased durability over maybe more breathable running shoes, as well as that toe bumper protection that I talked about earlier. Moving on to my performance review of the La Sportiva Levante then. In terms of outsole durability then, this is La Sportiva's outsole. I've been pretty impressed with it. I have not yet tested it in the wet because, as you can see, it's crazy dry here, but I have tested it on terrain like you can see here. Just as, if not more, slippy than mud in some conditions. So particularly when you're going downhill, but also going uphill, sometimes you can slip on these loose leaves and loose dirt, gravel, those sorts of things. It's held up pretty well. So not the most aggressive lug pattern or lug depth that you can get on a pair of trail running shoes, but hasn't put me off either. I would choose to wear these shoes running in a wide variety of terrain. Everything aside from probably the most boggy, muddy terrain, where I might go for something like the Salomon Speedcross 6, for example. So something else to think about when you think about the outsole, think about what kind of trails you're going to run, what weather conditions you're going to be running in. These shoes are really excelling in that more rocky, gnarly terrain because of the protection and support you're getting, the sort of confidence building stability you're getting. They're not stability shoes, but just the way you're locked into the shoe gives you that stability. Circling back on cushioning then, that midsole, I wouldn't say it's max cushion, or as La Sportiva put it, 9 out of 10 for cushioning. That must mean their 10's still pretty responsive rather than plush. It doesn't feel any more than medium cushioning. I'd say if you like a pair of responsive running shoes, you can consider these. If you're looking for really plush cushioned trail running shoes. The trade-off for that, of course, is you're probably not going to have as much responsiveness, as much ground feel. You're naturally going to be a bit further from the ground because of that additional cushioning. Then you probably want to check out another pair of running shoes, and I'll stick a link below to our guide to the best trail running shoes, which is a roundup of the shoes that we rate the highest for trail running this season. Why? It's all backed by in-depth reviews that we've conducted here at Trail and Kale. There's some more cushioned running shoes on there for you to check out. These shoes are super fun if you like to get a high cadence, if you really want to open out in these flat sections like I'm running here, as well as the downhill. You can get pretty light-footed because they're lightweight running shoes. Really great for hopping over obstacles. So that's what you get with a nice pair of responsive trail running shoes like these. Great. Okay, we're getting into that gnarly downhill stuff now, guys. I'm not going to be looking at the camera. I'm very much looking where my feet are going right now. Holding up pretty well to those loose leaves and rocks that we talked about on this trail. The camera never does these trails justice, does it? That's crazy steep. Here we go. If you like to run fast and also struggle to find a running shoe that really locks in your foot when you're trail running, then these shoes are going to be pretty appealing. If you like the gaiter feature, I think that could be quite divisive, and I'm excited to hear what you think about it in the comments. Now, my first impressions, like I said when I put them out of the box, is that the heel area is quite snug. I feel like they've really broken in over the last few miles, and normally I would say a good pair of trail running shoes don't really need breaking in. It's not like old school hiking boots. You should be able to put them on out the box and go out and run as far as you want in them, as far as they're designed to run in. But I do feel like these ones have really softened up, particularly around the upper. I was expecting the outsole to have a lot less flex than it does. If you take a look at this outsole, I'll overlay a picture here. It's got these grooves in it that are designed to give it more flex than it would otherwise have, being this more solid rubber outsole. Those grooves are allowing you to bend the shoe and for it to bend with your foot as you run. I think that's a really nice feature, and the shoe would not perform the same without it. So taking all that into account, what kind of running would I do? What kind of distances would I say these running shoes are for? I would really confidently run up to a half marathon distance, trail distance in these shoes. I would definitely, if I've got a race coming up, half marathon distance, I would get them out of the closet, our big shoe closet full of hundreds of pairs of trail and road running shoes. I put them next to my speed goats. I put them next to my Timp 5s, and depending maybe on how loose the dirt is and whether I value the gaiter to stop dirt getting in my shoes on that race, I might go for these shoes. So that's me rating them pretty highly, because the Timp 5 and the Speed Goat 5 and now 6 excellent trail running shoes that we rate some of the best right now over on Trail and Kale Running Co, trailandkale.com. And La Sportiva is perhaps a brand that you hadn't previously considered, a bit less well known in the US particularly. I think you should go and check them out. Definitely take on board what I said about sizing. Go up half a size, take a bit of time to learn what your European size is if you don't know, because that's going to help you get a good fit. And let me know what you think of them. I think particularly people with narrower feet who struggle to get a nice lock in are really going to appreciate them. And people who tend to kick rocks and roots are really going to appreciate that toe bumper as well, that like I said, doesn't come on every pair of trail running shoes. Even those designed for all mountain gnarly running, not all of them have it. So are the Levante from La Sportiva worth the money? $155, they're priced the same as the Timp 5, same ballpark as Speed Goat 6 as well. I'd say definitely yes. Like I said, I would consider it alongside these shoes. I've been pleasantly surprised for them. I think it offers a really great choice for people with the narrower feet, particularly at the heel. They feel like they're really going to stand up to many miles, punishing miles on rocky terrain. So if that's the type of running that you're going to be doing, then these shoes are probably going to make a really good choice for you. I recommend you check them out. If you have wider feet, then maybe these aren't going to be for you. You might struggle a bit to get the right fit with the sizing, in which case take a look at the Ultra Lone Peak 8, take a look at the Ultra Timp 5. If you're not used to zero drop shoes, which both of those shoes are, don't be put off by that, because if you're looking at a shoe with a 5 or 6 millimeter drop, it's not a huge stretch to actually just go to that zero drop. And I'll put a link in the description below to where you can look at some other trail running shoes from other brands that we've reviewed in depth on Trail and Kale by myself and by Alistair. So you can go and learn a bit more about those and maybe find a shoe that's better suited to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed going over to our YouTube channel, checking out some of our other videos. Please give it a like if you did enjoy it. It really helps us. Drop me a comment and say hi or ask a question. And I hope to see you on the next one.